Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Transfer Portal CFB podcast and YouTube channel presented by NoContextCFB. We are here with our weekly off-season podcast episode as we bring it to you every Wednesday. We obviously are still in the midst of the off-season, and 2023 season is still a little ways to go, but I'm here with Doug. Doug, man, how you doing?
Doing good. We're doing good. Normally, this is college football, but we already know what time it is. We know what time of the month it is.
It's the wrong college sport that we're focusing on right now, kind of.
Yeah.
But with it officially being bracket season, we decided to do a little bit of twist, filling out our brackets live on the pod with the little caveat: only football teams. Like that's pretty much it. Like, how would this bracket play out if it was the football teams of these universities and not the basketball teams? Now, I know what you're thinking. Marquette doesn't have a football team. Wichita State, I don't even think they're in the tournament. They're not. But, they don't have a football team. Well, guess what? Those teams are automatically disqualified. So, but before we go into it, y'all, make sure you give us a thumbs up on YouTube, give us the 5 stars on Apple and Spotify, and let's just kick it right off. First one. Do we want to start with a specific region or...
let's just start at the top because there's a game as we are recording right now between Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Southeast Corpus Christi, not Corpus Christi. Damn, I'm hungry. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi versus Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, but let's just be honest, that does not even matter based on who they'd be playing.
Oh, not at all, because Alabama, football-wise.
Exactly. I mean, listen, even if there was a bracket for college football, even if we were talking college football playoff season, guess what? There would be a really strong chance that Alabama would be number one, period. So I don't care who wins this game between Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and Southeast Missouri. Alabama is going to get that, of course, number one victory over TXCC.
Yes.
All right, now for our they'll be playing the winner of the following game. This is a game that I feel like finally we're kind of already going off with a bang already. 2 Power 5 teams already playing against each other, Maryland and West Virginia. West Virginia was among the worst teams in the Big 12 last year. I think Maryland, they still got Talia there. They've done really good work in the transfer portal. I would personally pick Maryland to beat West Virginia if these two were to play on the football field right now.
I'd pick Maryland too. I think Mike Locksley's done a great job recruiting. They've done a great job offensively. The one thing I do like about them is they've had continuity. Locksley had worked with Dan Enos, who just left for Arkansas, but he brought in Josh Gaddis, who they worked with at Alabama as well. So there's continuity, familiarity with Locksley and his offensive staff. It'll be a pretty easy job for Tulia to tackle Vailoa to keep on continuing being the best quarterback in Maryland history. The offense is really 1-1. Defense, not really much on the right about, but I trust them over whatever Neil Brown's doing in Morgantown. Side note, that contract is ugly. Very, very ugly.
All right. Does Charleston have a football team? I literally do not know.
That's what Google's for.
I mean, if you literally got to ask that question, I mean, we're still talking about a D1 team in the G5. San Diego State, who's been among the better teams in the Mountain West over the last decade or so. Brady Hoke has actually been able to build a culture there in San Diego. I think this is an easy game for the Aztecs, regardless if Charleston has a football team or not.
Yeah, they don't have a football team, so I couldn't save you a minute there. But right. Yeah, no, it's a great job picking up Brady Hoke. So,
Virginia and Furman. Virginia's offense was boring as hell. I mean, I have watched paint dry more excitingly than what they have been putting on the football field. Brennan Armstrong's not there anymore, but Furman does have a football team. I believe they're like lower tier FCS. So,
yep.
I still think UVA would take that win easily.
Yeah. As much as I don't like how Tony Elliott pretty much dismantled all of Bronco Mendenhall's team, made them from one of the more exciting teams in the ACC to whatever mess that was last year. They're still better than Furman. It's not really much on to write about. So UVA survives.
Creighton, NC State. Devin Leary is no longer with NC State. NC State still put up tough defenses in the ACC. Creighton, again, I don't even know if they have a football team. I don't think they do. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to Google on our answer. They do not.
There we go.
Congratulations, NC State, on your first round bye.
Yeah.
Baylor, Cal, Santa Barbara. I don't even think we need to discuss this at all.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. Next.
Missouri, Utah State. I think we finally have a somewhat of a thinker on this one. Eli Drinkwitz is actually building something. Mizzou actually had among the better defenses in the SEC last season. Utah State has actually been on the downward spiral. Actually, no, they won the Mountain West last season, did they?
They won it last year. This year, they kind of had a shaky foundation. So they went from winning the conference
2021 that they won the Mountain West. Yeah.
Yep. And then they went to under 500.
All right. I think we got to give it to Mizzou.
I do will give it to Mizzou. The only thing is that I think, at least right now, from what I remember, they have issues at quarterback in terms of health, but in terms of talent, they do have talent in that quarterback room. But yeah, no, it's Mizzou pretty easily. There's no more need to divulge further on it.
This is actually I just looked at this next matchup, 2 versus 15. I'm actually really excited. I would be really excited for this game if it was on television. On the football field, Arizona versus Princeton. Princeton actually they had among the best defenses in the FCS last year. They were among the best teams in the Ivy League. I think they may have even won the Ivy League last year. I remember we picked them like 3 times in our picks last season.
We had a lot of Princeton.
So I don't know. Jacob Cowling is still at Arizona. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe so. Like, don't get me wrong.
I believe he is too. Where do you lean on this one? This one I feel like would be like almost a 2 touchdown spread for Arizona, but I feel like it's one of those where you would really look at that money line and cash in on it.
Give me a spread. I think it's Arizona. I think what Jeff Fish has done there has been incredible. Kevin Sumlin's probably the second worst FBS coach job that I've seen in the entirety of what he did at Arizona. But Jaden Delora, Jacob Cowling, that offense looked pretty damn good. But once Fish gets his pieces there, I think that they'll be one of the better teams in the conference. But like I said, I'll take them over Princeton. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I've watched enough Princeton to have a correct view on them. I just trust with my eyes what I saw with Arizona more.
Purdue versus winner of Texas Southern and FDU. What does FDU even stand for?
Fairleigh Dickinson University.
I don't give a rat's ass anymore. Purdue, I don't even think we need to argue this.
Yeah, let's just move on up.
Memphis versus FAU. Memphis had a really good start to the AAC before they ran into Houston. Then they actually crashed down. I think they finished the season 6-6, some 5 or 6-6. So let's not think of this as the Paxton Lynch type Memphis. FAU got to give a shout out to Willie Taggart. Actually, who is the head coach at FAU right now?
Tom Herman. Willie Taggart got fired.
That's right. It's so funny that we just mentioned Tom Herman. I just said Houston like 20 seconds ago. Totally forgot about Tom Herman, him going to FAU. I think we still got to go Memphis here.
I will go with Memphis too. It's FAU's first year in the new conference in the AAC, so they're trying to get adjusted. They're great for Conference USA standards. I mean, in terms of having the money to do things, they were great under Lane Kiffin, but they weren't great under Willie. Tom's going to have a lot of work cut out for him. I'm not really a biggest fan of Memphis. I think that they kind of stagnated once was it Fuente? No, the coach after Fuente. Oh, Norvell. Once Norvell left for Florida State, I think they kind of stagnated. Silverfield, I don't think he's the guy for him, but I think they're better than Florida Atlantic.
All right, Duke Oral Roberts. Shout out Riley Leonard, friend of the pod. I
Hmm.
think we got to go Duke here. I don't even think Oral Roberts has a football team, to be honest with you.
Mike Elko, Coach of the Year.
All right, Tennessee and Louisiana Lafayette. Um,
Ooh.
I know. So many people just down the road are gonna be so pissed off at me. I think I'm gonna give it to Tennessee. I mean, Hypo's building something great. Hendon Hooker is obviously not going to be there. I like Joe Milton. Did Joe Milton stayed right? Because I think
Yeah,
there was
Joe Milton stayed, but then they got Nico, whose last name I'm not even going to try to pronounce
yeah
yet.
the
The
arguably
five.
best quarterback in the country.
Yes.
Some people say that he's better than Arch Manning, but we'll see how that plays out.
People are saying about Malachi and Dante too. Like quarterback's been pretty deep this year, actually.
I think we gotta go Tennessee. No question about it.
Tennessee, yes, but don't sleep on Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. Like still want to say Louisiana Lafayette because I grew up as Louisiana Lafayette. They're Louisiana Lafayette. Come on now. Don't try
Yeah.
like don't get cute. All
I
right,
mean,
but Tennessee for the win.
the only reason why they're trying to stay as Louisiana is so that they can have some branding competition with LSU. It's never going to work. Uh,
It's not gonna work.
Kentucky Providence. I don't
Providence
think
doesn't have a team.
I don't. All right, cool. Congratulations, Kentucky.
Okay, here we go.
Kansas State, Montana State.
You can't really go against the Big 12 champs. Like as good as like those schools out in the deep West are, Kansas State literally won the Big 12. Like you just can't really go against that. I apologize. Kansas State fairly easily.
Yeah, that's true. Michigan State versus USC. I think this is easy for USC. Yes, we know Michigan State has a football team. This is like the one of the only Power Five games that we're going to have on here where it's actually not competitive at all. I think USC wins this by like 35 points.
Mel Tucker, I'm just hoping that people don't say that you built your career off Kenneth Walker. So please bounce back. But yeah, no, it's USC pretty easily.
Does Vermont have a football team?
They do not exist anymore.
When did they get rid of that?
The last season was
1974.
1974. Yep.
So
And
Marquette don't
Marquette
have a football
doesn't.
team.
So we could just
Congratulations.
flip a coin.
No, I think we got to give USC an automatic bye.
I know we do, but you know how brackets are. You can't really, unless it's like, yeah, they put somebody there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a bracket. It's a bracket. You have to fill it out to the fullest.
fine. All right, you got a coin on you?
I don't.
Okay, odd or even?
Even.
All right, Marquette.
Okay.
To be fair, though, I think Marquette. Wait a minute. Should we give it to the team that last had a football team?
That's actually a great idea.
Because I think Marquette got rid of theirs in like the 50s, I think it was. So 1974 Vermont. Let me look up Marquette.
1960s. So yeah, you got to give it to Vermont.
All right, cool. Congratulations, Vermont. All right, let's go to the Midwest. Houston versus Northern Kentucky. I already looked it up. Northern Kentucky does not have a football team.
We're good there.
Iowa versus Auburn. This is a terrible game on the football field.
This is
I
bad. This is really, really bad.
Hugh Freeze. Let's just pretend this is his first game as a head coach for Auburn. Kirk Ferentz is still at Iowa. The only thing that
Cade's their starter, so
I was going to say, I think Caden McNamara still offers more to Iowa as an offense than what Spencer Petras did. I mean, that's obviously a no-brainer. I think that does move the ball a little bit for Iowa. This would be a game that you bet the under on. I'm going to give Iowa a close one.
I don't like Auburn, so I win a close one. It's just really not something that we could really talk about because it's not going to be pretty football. Like Hugh Freeze needs his guys there offensively. Iowa, the less said about them whenever they have the ball, the better. So Yeah, let's
Uh,
move on, please.
Miami Drake. Does Drake have a football team?
I believe Drake does.
The sad part is that if I go to Wikipedia and if I look up Drake, I'm not going to get anything about the university.
They do have a football team.
They do.
Pioneer League, so the non-scholarship league.
Jesus Christ. Hold up. That whole league is non scholarship.
Yeah.
What the fuck? All right. I mean, if there was any game that Miami was going to lose, it'd be this one.
Yep.
But would
No.
they? No.
No. Well,
We start,
let's have respect for him.
all right. Indiana versus Kent State. This is actually interesting because Indiana has been absolutely terrible these last 2 years, ever since they had that one-off year that apparently they were America's golden boy. Kent State, they've been competitive at the MAC for a couple years now. I kind of want to get it to Kent State here.
So my thing is, right? So Kent State's head coach left to be the offensive coordinator at Colorado. And
Dion Bag.
yep. So you gotta I'm going with Indiana just off the sheer virtue of continuity, but this matchup is ugly. I'm sorry.
I'll take Indiana. I mean, surely Indiana's got more talent than Kent State at this point.
Yeah, it's ugly. I'm not really trying to Miami really shouldn't make the Sweet 16 here, but they might just do it off sheer talent.
Well, we'll see when we get there.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is actually interesting. So we have 2 11 seeds right now between Mississippi State and Pitt. I would give the edge to Mississippi State on this one.
I'd actually go Pitt.
So what do we do here?
All
Because
right.
Iowa State took their 2021 season was obviously not pretty, but their 2022 team was just not good.
I agree with you. So we both have the 11 over the 6, right?
All right, fine. We'll just say MS State / Pitt. I mean, because technically none of these games really, because these last bid games don't count until, they don't really count towards your bracket anyway. So let's go ahead.
Yeah. Kennesaw State and Xavier.
Xavier does have a football team. I firmly believe that they got one in the FCS.
Because I know Kennesaw State's coming up to Conference USA soon, so.
Xavier, Musketeers. Musketeers.
1973.
Yep, they don't exist no more. So
shout out Kennesaw State.
Kennesaw State, congratulations. All right, let's go with Texas A&M Penn State. Penn State, this is not even close.
Yeah, Penn State has a semblance of a college football program, not just a run-of-the-mill bag institution. So,
and honestly, Penn State usually always puts up a good defense. And if you know anything about Texas A&M's offense, I mean, you could put them up against a regular high school varsity team, and they're still not going to score. That's just the sad reality of it.
I don't want to even get into the elephant room. That is their coordinators, because, yeah.
And we're not even going to bring up the current coordinator for that university right now. But
absolutely.
Texas Colgate, Texas, of course. That's not
even.
Does Colgate even have a football team? Does the toothpaste university even have a football team? Doesn't matter.
Honestly, I don't care enough to search. We're sorry, Colgate, if you do. Kansas and Howard.
Kansas.
Yeah, there's not much left to go there.
Shout out Howard.
Ooh.
I know the next one's fun, but I will say this: then the one thing I will give Howard is shout out Cam Newton's brother, because he did have that massive victory over UNLV like 5 years ago. But Arkansas, Illinois, this is actually a lot of fun. This is a Burt Bielema Bowl right here.
Yep. And I'll take the current over the past. I'll take Illinois over Arkansas.
I love Illinois' defense. Last season, it was among the best in the country. They've actually got some NFL talent on that defense. Some are even in the draft this year. Yeah, Illinois, not even a question about it.
Sorry, Freddie.
St. Mary's and VCU. I don't think VCU has a football program, but I don't know anything about St. Mary's. Surely they have to.
No, West Coast Conference schools, I'm not sure whether they do. VCU is a club team, so they don't count.
Saint they last season for St. Mary's was 2003.
All right, 2003 wins.
Like, what do you mean? Like it's a club team? Is that just something that normal students just do like for fun, like on weekends essentially, or how's that even work?
Yeah, like it's not run through the NCAA, so it's technically like yeah, so it's not run through NCAA. So a club team,
All right, fair enough.
yeah.
UConn, Iowa. I mean, gotta give it to UConn. They actually were bowl eligible this last season. Iona, does Iona have a football team? I think they do. It don't effing matter right now
Iona, yeah, Iona Gales, they wait. 2008 was the last season.
for Iona. Jesus,
Yep,
man. And isn't Iona private?
it is.
Man, they can easily get enough money to build up a program again, man. Get the hell out of here, man. All right. Let's see now. We've got so this is interesting. So TCU. This is not the same TCU as last season. You know, this is gonna be a totally different TCU.
Mm-hmm.
But they'd be playing the winner of Nevada and Arizona State. Arizona State and Nevada are both terrible. We know that.
Yep.
Uh, TCU, I think they're still going to be bowl eligible. I mean, Sonny Dykes is still building a culture over there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even think Nevada or Arizona State are going to be bowl eligible next season. So I think we got to give it to TCU.
I'll give it to TCU. I will say this though. I like Kenny Dillingham as the Arizona State head coach. I like him. I just think it's going to be a year or two before he gets things rolling down in Tempe. So I'm not going to completely shit on him like I did Nevada because Nevada, what the fuck?
All right, Gonzaga. Let me see. I don't think Gonzaga has a football team, but oh, they do. Do they? No.
They
Last season was in 1941. But does Grand Canyon have a football team? I highly doubt it.
no, because if they're the WAC schools, I don't think have football.
Did you know that their nickname is the Antelopes?
I actually did know that, and I also know that Bryce Drew is their head coach.
Oh, so yeah, I think we well, hang on. So Grand Canyon just never had a football team, so we just have to give it to Gonzaga.
By default.
Sheesh, man. A team that hasn't had a program since 1941, making the round of 32. What about it?
Mm-hmm.
Northwestern Boise State. Boise State, I think, just wins that.
Yeah,
That's not even
yeah,
arguable.
pretty straightforward. Northwestern's a cooked institution, so
UCLA, UNC Asheville. Don't even bother.
yep. Let's keep it rolling.
Okay, we're back in the South region now. Who punches their ticket to the Sweet 16? Alabama and Maryland. That's
Yeah,
Alabama.
it's straightforward. Come on now, like we can. Like, this, some of these don't even need to be worth speaking because we got rid of most of the private schools. So most of the schools that don't have football leagues.
San Diego State and Virginia. I remember I was watching the Hawaii Bowl with San Diego State, and they were just talking about just how bad the offense was and how lucky they were to make it to a bowl game essentially. And I don't know. I think whenever you look at UVA, it's almost the exact same thing. I literally don't know here at this point.
I'll go San Diego State because I know Brady Hoke. I'll trust him enough versus Tony Elliott. Like I despise Tony Elliott as a football coach.
Well,
As a sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, it's good because we're not going to bring him up again now that we have marked San Diego State as the winner
Okay.
of this game.
I just want to preface it. Like great human being. I'm glad what he's at the university. I'm glad he's been a great part of the community. But as a football coach, he's not good. Like we all were laughing when they got when Virginia chose him over Mike Elko, and look how it worked out year one. So
NC State versus Baylor.
give me the Bears. NC State, no
Really?
matter what happens. No, here's the thing with NC State. If you say they're going to go 5-7, they'll go 8-4. And it should be 10-2, they'll go 8-4. Like they have the same formula every year, no matter what you do, they're plug and play. Baylor, at least they got the upside. But in terms of Baylor this year, I do
Baylor
think
this year was not good, though.
I mean, but like we're not talking about this year, we're talking about this upcoming year. And I already
Are
know
we
NC
sure they're
State.
going to be that good also?
I trust them more than I do NC State.
What the four additional Big 12 teams this year?
Because I do think that BYU is not going to be a factor this year, I think. I don't think UCF will be okay.
Houston, I don't think we're going to do well this year.
Yeah, no, Houston, no. And then
They'll be a fighter for 4-8, but it'll be growing.
Cincinnati just remind me of Scott Satterfield move, and
Cincinnati has an easy schedule this year.
I don't like Scott Satterfield, but like
They could legit go 9-3 this year because they don't play either Oklahoma or Texas.
That doesn't sound right in any part of facet. But then again, that's how we got 11-1 Kansas that 1 year.
I'll give it to Baylor. Baylor, you know what? Here's the thing with Baylor. Baylor may have a lower floor, but guess what? They'll always have the higher ceiling in this scenario.
Yes, but like, yeah.
Mizzou versus Arizona.
Missouri, I think they're further along enough to where they have the talent advantage over Arizona.
I give it to Mizzou because I still love their defense a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Purdue, Memphis. Memphis is still a struggling team. I think we gotta give it to Purdue.
Yeah, even though you Warren Waters year one, and I forgot who's their OC this year. They brought somebody in.
Let me see here. And who is it? I totally forgot. Current stat.
Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell.
Yeah, Packers legend Graham Harrell. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, Graham Harrell. Yeah, easy over Memphis then. Yeah.
Duke versus Tennessee. Sorry, love Ray Leonard. We love y'all here. We love you here, but we got to go with the Orange Bowl champs.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy. Even though I love Duke a lot, I love what happened with Duke this past year. But
Kentucky versus Kansas State. I think we got to give it to Kansas State here.
I do too. Although I do like Devin Leary for Kentucky, and they brought Liam Cohen back.
7 games?
Yeah, hopefully. And then they brought Liam Collins back in the fold instead of Rich Caganello, who's absolutely terrible. But yeah, I got Kansas State here.
Okay, and obviously USC beats out Vermont because Vermont hasn't had a program in 40 years. So congratulations, Trojans. Houston versus Iowa.
Well, I think I got to go Iowa because of defense, though.
I'm going to get cooked no matter what I do here.
It's a lose-lose.
Here's the thing with Houston. This is not bashing Houston. This is just honestly the truth. They just lost. Well, they're losing way too much talent this year for them to at least stay afloat. That's their biggest issue. Oh, my God. It's still Donovan Smith, though. And I love Donovan Smith. He turns it over so much, but he is still such an electric playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Matthew Golden. I still like Molten McCaskill. I still like Brandon Campbell a lot. I still think there's good players on that team. There's so much of that defense that's lost. But to be fair, Iowa has not played a dynamic playmaker like Donovan Smith, though.
I'll give you that.
Do you give it to me enough to switch your pick to UH here?
Because you gave me Baylor, so I'll give you Houston.
Okay. Also, who is the best wide receiver? Like Matthew Golden, he was a top 10 wide receiver in the country coming out of high school, and now he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver for Houston this year. Who's the best receiver that Iowa played in the Big Ten last year?
Let me check, because I'm not sure who was their East Cross.
They did play Ohio State, and they got destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvin Harris. Okay, fine, Big Ten West. Okay, who's the best wide receiver that played the Big Ten West?
Let's not talk about that conference, that division at least, because that was not pretty. Yeah, you're right at that point. If you cut out Ohio State, you're right.
Yeah, I think Houston still has more dynamic playmakers than Iowa. Houston's got more dynamic players than anybody that Iowa's played in the Big Ten West. They're not prepared for this. They're not prepared. That's just simply that it. Miami beats Indiana. Miami beats Indiana.
Yeah, that's just no. And then Mississippi State, Pitt beats Kennesaw State because they're not ready yet.
Both Mississippi State and Pitt would beat. Yeah. Would be Kennesaw State. Penn State versus Texas. Oh, here we go. This is probably the best game we've got so far.
I'll lean Penn State.
Ouch. I would lead Texas. a little bit. Let's see now. Drew Howler is going to be starting quarterback for Penn State, so that in itself makes me feel better than Sean Clifford. So I will give Penn State on that side. You still got Nate Singleton at running back.
Texas has the continuity though, because they got most of their. I mean, they do lose Bijan, which is the biggest loss out of everything, but everything else,
They
like
always put out
quarterback,
good running backs, though.
yes, the thing they got continuity everywhere else though, which means Bijan shouldn't be as big of a loss as
And
people
I
say he
think
is.
Quinn does take a step forward this year. Here's the thing: what's the expectation for Texas going this year? It's got to be Big 12 championship, right?
Yeah, at least make it to the game, not the actual championship itself.
Yeah, but what's the expectation for Penn State? Because I feel like their expectation at this point is to
New Year
finish third in
six,
New
New
Year's
Year
Six, but finish
six.
third in that division.
You could probably Pip second, like because the Michigan games are usually closer than the Ohio State games. So Ohio State's usually, I mean, the last few years has not been as close as it was back then, but they should beat Michigan one of these years. So
Part of me still wants to lean Texas.
I'll give you Texas just because it's continuity on offense. Ready.
Okay, cool. And now we've got Kansas, Illinois. Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah. He had a good story, but they kind of fell down the stretch for Kansas. So
Also, let's just be honest: the so much of the Big 12 was so bad this past season that you kind of just allowed Kansas to open in a little bit. So
yeah.
I still think Brett is still building something in Illinois. I think he's finally giving them a culture. I think he's still giving them an identity. With Kansas, I love Lance, but I still I feel like that's just the thing that you got to make sure it's just not a one time make believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like they haven't really had any sort of sustained success in decades. So like even the Mangino year was like 2 years of bowl games and then it fell apart. So
All right, St. Mary, UConn. UConn wins because St. Mary hadn't had
yeah.
a. I don't even know how long it's been since they've had a football program, but it's UConn. TCU Gonzaga, TCU. That's not even debate.
Mm-hmm.
Boise State versus UCLA. All right, shout out Liam because he loves Boise State as a program, but obviously he's a UCLA fan, so I hope he's watching this. I hope he's listening every word that we're saying right here.
Yeah, I got UCLA. I'm not even gonna.
Dante Pettis is there, right?
Yeah, just like because Chip, I think, finally put it together this year, and Dante's great, and I don't think it's like Zach declared for the draft, I believe, so that's gonna hurt. But
All right, let's go back to South. Now let's pick out the winners of the Sweet 16 going into meetup in the South Championship. Alabama versus San Diego State. Alabama. That's I don't.
yeah,
Know
yeah, no more talk about that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Baylor, Mizzou.
I think Mizzou's handicapped because of where they're at. Baylor has way much more mobility, so I'll take Baylor.
Yeah, I'll give it to Baylor too. Baylor can at least score. That's what I can give Baylor.
Yeah.
Match up of one of college football's all-time favorite games of the 2021 Music City Bowl, Purdue versus Tennessee. Purdue's losing quite a bit of talent. I know losing Hendon Hooker is a big-time loss, but I still think we got to give it to Tennessee here.
Yeah, I'll give it to Tennessee. Like Milton's been in the Josh Heupel offense for quite a while now, and that offense can produce points fairly easily. They did lose Alex Kolesh as offensive coordinator. Like I said, Heupel's that guy when it comes to being that creative. Even though Kolesh was part of the game planning as well, but I trust Tennessee fairly much more than I do over Purdue. So,
how much do you trust Kansas State versus USC? Because I don't think we can give USC too many flowers right now. They choked in the Pac-12. They choked in the Cotton Bowl. You lose to Tulane. How if you couldn't beat the AAC championship, the AAC champion, why couldn't you keep it up against the Big 12 champion?
I still got to go USC. I think USC probably loses next round, but I got to go USC here. Like I do think Kansas
Will
State
Howard's looks sharp whenever he's played for Kansas State, though.
And Caleb Williams is literally the guy
He wasn't the
for
guy in Arlington, but fine.
yeah.
I'll give it to you with USC. I'll finally give it to you on that one. Houston, Miami.
The underachiever bowl.
Hey man, we at least made double digit wins
That's fair.
twice
Uh,
in the last like 7 years, but that's honestly somewhat depressing to say.
yeah. Um,
Miami's got to lose eventually at some point. They got to choke hard at some point.
Honestly, this section of the bracket's really ugly because I don't like Houston enough. I don't like Miami enough. Mississippi State first year head coach, Pitt, Narduzzi after the pick a year, offense was kind of questionable. And then Texas.
Let me have Houston on this one because I just let you have USC.
I let you have like three in a row, bro.
You let me have two. You just had two.
I have one.
I gave you USC, Kansas State. You don't like either of these teams, anyways.
Fine.
Mississippi State, Pitt versus Texas. I mean, that's the Texas one easily, right?
It's Texas. Like
at this point, yeah, I don't think it even matters who would have ended up coming out between Mississippi State and Pitt.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
UConn versus Illinois. This is another game where you bet the under.
Illinois.
Well, you can't even let me defend myself here.
I'm sorry. It took I'll leave you had a whole 12 minutes for your thesis.
All right, fine. You know what? I'll give it to Illinois. Fine.
Okay.
TCU versus UCLA.
I'm thinking, like, this is actually having me think. Because you mentioned earlier, TCU does lose a lot of talent.
And I feel like you look at UCLA and it's like it's an actual building program at this point. For the first time in a long time, you actually look at UCLA and you think to yourself, damn, they actually got some talent going into this next year.
Yeah. So I think I'm actually going to go UCLA.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you on UCLA. I really do. I like Pettis a lot. I actually feel like they actually put up some exciting games. They actually had a lot of, they actually kept it close against USC quite a bit. DTR, one of the all-time Warrior performances I've ever seen. So yeah, I'll give it to UCLA. All right, it's time to cut down nets. Alabama versus Baylor. This is Cinderella time over for Baylor.
Yep, straightforward.
Tennessee versus USC. Here we go. This one is we finally have a great one.
Two teams that don't know the meaning of stop. So Tennessee and USC, awful defenses. I just trust Tennessee more within a structure. So give me the Vols.
I feel like you look at a Heupel offense and I just feel like you trust it to score more points than you would with a Lincoln Riley offense, which sounds so stupid to say.
It does, but Tennessee put up points against everybody outside of one team.
All right, Houston versus Texas. My fanfare is ending here. I'm not even going to argue it.
Tuck 'em horns.
Shout out, Adam. Okay, here we go. Last final four spot up for grabs. Illinois versus UCLA.
I think I gotta go to UCLA.
I gotta go to UCLA too. I mean, listen, as much as I do like what Brett's building up there at Champaign, you still lose Witherspoon in the secondary. It's still a tough, we still got to see what Illinois is going to look like this upcoming season. It's like I said, it's UCLA. You actually have some excitement talking about them and seeing what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So as it sits right now, imagine this. Imagine when we started this thing, before we even started filling out this bracket. If we would have just predicted that the Final Four would have been Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, and UCLA, what would have been your instant thoughts on that?
Honestly, because I could see, like, funny enough, with basketball, Alabama, Tennessee Final Four matchup actually can line up to actually happen. So that wouldn't surprise me, which is nice. Football wouldn't surprise me to both make the playoff next year, but they won't.
But they both will probably be in the SEC title game. I mean, listen. Obviously, it depends on what I know. I regret it as soon as I knew some eyes were gonna pop out at me. But
As they should, yeah.
the game's in Neyland next season.
It was in Neyland last season.
Oh wait, you're right. That's right. We co-wrote that, but I got it confused with how I forgot what the hell I'm talking about here.
Tennessee, Georgia, you co-wrote that with me.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad for my memory. That's horrible on my part. I am sorry. I forgive myself. But let's go ahead. Let's just go right to the final four. Bama versus Tennessee.
I think I'll go Tennessee. I think Alabama has too many moving parts offensively. You got a new offensive coordinator. You have a new starting quarterback. It probably should be Ty Simpson. You got receivers that still weren't really great last year, and Jameer Gibbs isn't there to bail you out. Um, as soon as I say this, I already know what's going to happen. They're going to run the table, be undefeated, because that's usually what happens when people doubt them. But I'd like Tennessee a lot more with their continuity and the fact that they already exploited this defense. Um, so give me the Vols.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the Vols too. I think it's just still a great game that they played last year. I mean, Hendon Hooker was probably my favorite quarterback performance by any player in the country last season was just Hendon Hooker in that game against Bama alone at Neyland and see like how much that impacted the community up there. Texas UCLA.
You deserve a blurb because you gave us a blurb for Alabama, Tennessee, so I need a blurb for Texas, UCLA because you know you're setting up the Final Four.
Yeah,
So yeah, Texas, UCLA, two programs. They're on bouncing back up both in basketball and football. You got the Longhorns with star boy Quinn Ewers. You got UCLA with new star boy Dante Moore. You
Dante
got
Moore,
Chip
not Dante
Kelly.
Pettis. What the Dante Pettis was the player that played for Washington like those years ago. Man, this is a 0 out of 10 performance for me on this pod.
Gets happens to all of us. Like I said, I remember I was talking about I said Texas A&M Corpus Christi instead of Christie. So, it gets to the best of us. It's okay, man. You just get
I give it to
uh
Texas. I
I'll give
just
it to
think
Texas too.
I just think
I'll give
Texas
it
has more talent. They get more recruiting talent. I like some of their playmakers on the outside more than I would with UCLA. I got to give it to Texas on this one.
I'll give it to Texas too. You know me, I value continuity. I like Chip Kelly as a coach more, but I value Texas continuity, and I think they got enough star power to beat UCLA and make it to that title game.
And there we go. National championship game with Tennessee and Texas. Tennessee.
Orange Nation. Yep.
I mean, I hate to put it
Like
that
I
way.
said, go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think right now you look at Tennessee's offense. I just think we know how Texas can be vulnerable to absolutely imploding in defense at times. Granted, it was better last season, but it's just like whenever you need them to step it up the most, they just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, even without Hendon Hooker, still had a great game in that Orange Bowl. So I'm really looking forward for what Tennessee is going to look like this upcoming season. So yeah, I got to give it to the UT up in Knoxville.
I do think the UT up in Knoxville is the real UT, but I agree
Ouch.
with
Do you
you.
know how many people you're getting pissed off with that comment?
Yeah, and I do not care. Um, but yeah, so I do think that Tennessee is probably the best equipped team in the nation in this bracket, and they're lucky that Georgia basketball is not good yet. So
Here we are. I don't know if this thing's going to be on mirror mode or not, but like here we go. We got it right here. We've got Tennessee making it to the national title game and beating Texas. To recap our Final Four, we've got Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, UCLA. Whenever you were looking through this, what would you say was your biggest takeaway going through this bracket?
so many schools should not have given up football. Like I
I
get it why they did it back then, but now it's the time. It's gonna keep you like what the money is at. So
Did you know that Marquette one time made the Cotton Bowl?
really,
Yeah, they did. I think it was like
what
back
was
late
this?
1937.
Okay, that checks out.
I mean, like that sounds right. I mean, like that was back because they've gone through so many different like name changes. Like first they were like the Avalanche, then they became known as like the Warriors, and then they became the
Golden
that was
Eagle.
when they became the Golden Eagles. Like it's like come on, man. Like how many people can you like have? Like Golden Avalanche
Yeah.
Golden Avalanche
Golden.
football. Last season was in 1960, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let me see here. Bowl game appearances. Yeah, in the 1936 season, they made the Cotton Bowl on January 1st, 1937. Their only bowl game appearance, and they lost to TCU by a score of 16-6.
It feels weird that Marquette and TC used to be in the same conference together before in basketball.
It feels weird that Marquette and Wisconsin used to play each other on the football field. And
Yeah.
fun fact, I think Marquette Stadium uh it stood still until 1960. No, 1976. Their last season was in 1960.
Hmm.
So why do you
That
keep
doesn't
a
make
football
sense.
stadium open for 16 years?
That makes no sense unless was it getting used like high schools and stuff?
Maybe, but like there really aren't that many high schools in the like metro Milwaukee area, so it's like it doesn't make overly much sense to me. But anyways, guys, for those that made it this far, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Us rumbling on about colleges that no longer have programs and that should probably bring them back. This honestly brings up a good talking point for people. How do we feel about a 68 team college football playoff? Okay, that's good enough for me. I mean, I just know 16 already gets you riled up the way that it does, anyways. So
Yeah, like for me, like before we end, I just want to mention that I four, if I can speak English, four is the max I do. Four is nice, it's clean. Anything more than four, you're just putting way more tax on their bodies. Bowls just feel devalued. And honestly, most of the teams will lose anyway. So you're just adding
honestly,
games for sake of adding games.
honestly, a point that I think that needs to be discussed at some point, if it's on a podcast, if it's on an article or something like that. But like, think about. Let's go talk a little bit. Rewind about what you, but like what bull means. I remember when I was like teenage, like early teenage years, and Wisconsin made those Rose Bowls for 3 years in a row from 2010 to 2012. Making a Rose Bowl back then was like pinnacle of Big Ten fandom. Like that is what you absolutely cherished. And then it's like you look at, and then when I saw Wisconsin make the Rose Bowl again in 2019, when they lost to Oregon, when they made the Rose Bowl that year, they lost in the Big Ten title game. They did win their last game against Minnesota in the regular season, but when they lost to Ohio State and you still make the Rose Bowl, it kind of does leave you feel like a little, I don't want to say undeserved because that was still a great team, but I guess even when you look at like Penn State this year, I mean, sometimes you look at Penn State and you just see them as the floor mat of Michigan and Ohio State. I mean, they've yet to beat Ohio State ever since this uh for the last like 6 years. I don't think they've beaten Ohio State since 2016.
Yep.
Now it's like you look at Penn State making the Rose Bowl. They weren't even a top two team in their own conference. So we'll argue about what conference what a lot of these bowl games mean for certain conferences in the future. I don't know if SEC fans feel the same way about the Sugar Bowl or even Big 12 fans at that point. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Make sure you give us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Give us a thumbs up. Smash that thumbs up button on YouTube. Leave us a comment, share with your friends, do all that. Thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.